Welcome everyone to our September SportsSite webinar. We'll just give everyone a few moments to trickle in. I see we've got a bunch of attendees already, so a lot of interest in the webinar this month. If you're on our email list, you've certainly seen our emails about this new product. So it's probably a good resource, gets you more information, let you ask some questions. If you have questions, you can post them in the chat and we'll answer them as we can throughout the presentation, as well as some dedicated time at the end for questions and answers. We have a little bit to work through today, so I'm going to get started here in just maybe 10 or 15 seconds. We've got a special guest from Apacor that I'm really excited to introduce to you guys. So topic of our webinar today is the AirTrap XL. It's a brand new sport trap, brand new sampling cassette for sampling mold and airborne particulate. So we'll get started here. So we're going to talk about our partnership with Apacor, a little bit about SportsSite, and then we'll get into the topic of the AirTrap cassette features and benefits. I'm going to do a little product demo of the AirTrap XL on the SportsSite pump and attaching calibration equipment, all of that. Then there's some time for questions and answers at the end. So I'll be here just to start, but the core of this presentation is going to be done by Dr. Jonathan Earl, the head of R&D at Apacor. He's the head of research and development at Apacor, where he joined the company in January of 2022, following his tenure as a director at GlaxoSmithKline in Switzerland and the UK. There, he fulfilled some diverse roles in scientific research, product development, and marketing for renowned brands such as Theraflu, Panadol, Sensodyne, Atrovin, Flonase, and more. Dr. Earl has a PhD in material science, Master's of Science in Nanotechnology, as well as Bachelor of Engineering in Material Science, all from the University of Leeds in the UK. So recently, Dr. Earl has collaborated with us here at TechSite in creating a number of different consumables for our diagnostic tests, including the AirTrap product line and Zoetis Images Diagnostic Solutions. So a little about our partnership with Apacor. So here at SportsSite, we're excited to have the AirTrap cassettes, sampling cassettes that Apacor has developed with in coordination with us and some other partners. As well as Zoetis, which is our veterinary partner, where they've devised a number of things, such as these fecal paraceps that you see there, as well as printing our proprietary cover slips that we use in the processing and scanning of our samples. With scanning on these whole slide scanners, acquiring a good image is really the key of it, and we wouldn't be able to do it without these really fancy proprietary cover slips. So Apacor collaborated with industry experts to develop the AirTrap XL. It's a revolutionary air sampling cassette that will really set a new standard for sampling in the field. Their commitment to innovation and quality, along with the impact and global impact of combating diseases like malaria, makes them really invaluable to us at TechSite. And we're really couldn't be more excited to work with them on this product. So just a little bit about us. If you're new, this cassette isn't just exclusive to SportsSite. You could use this cassette to go to any lab. So maybe you're not familiar with us. This might be your first webinar. We do have quite a number of attendees here live. So welcome. TechSite is the name of our company. It looks like my slide didn't move. We're founded in 2013. We're world leaders in machine learning, artificial intelligence, computer vision, digital microscopy. We focus on air, liquid, and smearable diagnostic testing. We're used by labs, pathologists, doctors, vets. inspectors, all sorts of people all across the world. So we have three verticals. So we have environmental, which is under the Sporesight name, human, which is under our parent company TechSite, where we have a collaboration with Mayo Clinic. And then we have veterinary, a product line that is white labeled by Zoetis, which is a leader in global animal health. Here at our lab for Sporesight, we're an AHA impact participant. We're a licensed mold analysis laboratory for the state of Texas, which is the only state that requires a license or even has a licensing program. We have a pending letter of ISO 17025 accreditation. We fully expect to achieve our full accreditation next month in October. So we're looking forward to that as well. So we're all about making inspectors' lives better. We want to give you a quick, accurate, and consistent results and an affordable testing solution for you and your clients. Our main goal is to give you the best report in the industry. And we strive on making it better for you. So we are all about making the reports as readable, as digestible, as well as having quick turnaround time, quick shipping time, and just trying to provide you with the best service possible. So with that, we're now offering overnight shipping as our return shipping option, just slightly more expensive than our previous, but you get it a full day faster for your clients. We think it's a good trade-off. $31.99 if you use our UPS labels. If you need any of those labels, you can reach out to us and we can make you some. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Earl here. Well, he will go into the next part where he dives into the new AirTrap XL product. So welcome.
Thank you, Dylan, and thank you for that introduction, and thank you for having me and Apacor on the Sporesight webinar today. As Dylan's just mentioned, my name's Jonathan Earl. I'm the head of R&D at Apacor. We're headquartered in the UK, just outside London. Prior to joining Apacor, I'm a material scientist by background, and I've been involved in developing both consumer healthcare, animal healthcare, and now environmental monitoring products in diagnostics and treatment areas. But today, we're here to introduce the AirTrap XL, and you can see a picture of it here on the slide on the left. And the AirTrap XL is a full-slide indoor air quality cassette. And what's particularly unique about this new product and new design is we've been working hard to optimize the collection media, as Dylan's mentioned. We've been working with Sporesight, but as well as working with Sporesight, we've also been working closely in collaboration with Daniel Baxter of Environmental Analysis Associates, or EAA. And I'm sure many of the people on the webinar today will be very familiar with all of the work that Daniel Baxter has been involved with over a number of years. But if we, so as I mentioned, I've been working closely with Daniel Baxter. So if you excuse me, I'm just going to read off the screen and quote how Daniel Baxter describes the AirTrap XL, which is: the AirTrap XL is a refined and optimized slit impaction device specifically designed for the rapid collection and analysis of a wide range of airborne particulates, including mold spores, pollen, insect parts, skin cell fragments, fibers, wildfire and other combustion particles, and other inorganic particles. But as well as working with Daniel Baxter and Sporesight, we've also been in contact with a number of other mold inspectors, and we've really tried to take on board their feedback and their insight in terms of what they're looking for from both a testing perspective, but right through to the final analysis perspective, and particularly working with Sporesight to really optimize this product for the Sporesight AI diagnostic platform. So if we just start to look at some of the key features of the AirTrap XL. So visually, those familiar with full slide cassettes are like this. Visually, the first thing you'll probably notice is that the inlet cap and indeed the outlet, which we'll look at in a moment, has an integrated cap. So we got a lot of feedback from users that they just didn't want to have removable stickers or removable caps. So on the AirTrap XL, both the inlet and the outlet have a hinged, fully integrated cap, really meaning no more lost stickers or lost caps. And we believe this should reduce any potential chances of contamination. No longer do you need to put the cap or the sticker down or put it on something else. It's really easy to use. You can use it with one hand. The caps just click on and off. And so, yeah, you run your test, and as soon as you're done, just put them in the pack and send them away for analysis in your normal way. The AirTrap XL has been designed specifically to be used at an optimal flow rate of 15 litres per minute. So for many of you, that would be the same pump conditions that you already use, and obviously it can be used at higher or lower rates, but as I say, optimized with SporeSight for the SporeSight pump at 15 litres per minute. And then from the image on the screen at the moment, you can see at one end of the cassette, we have a unique 8-digit ID and barcode. And again, this is feedback we took from previous users who just really wanted to have an easy to read 8-digit ID and accompanying barcode. So this is very easy to read by eye, but also with whatever technology you use to read barcodes. It's very simple, it works. So for anybody who is conscious of tracking and traceability, no more sort of lost cassettes or confused or mixed up cassettes, because you can just scan and track the cassette through the whole process from its use when collecting a sample right through to the analysis. And maybe a little bit more difficult to pick up on screen, but certainly when you see this cassette side by side with some of the competitors, and certainly when you first see and hold one, what you will notice is a significantly reduced plastic usage in this cassette. So that's something we take very seriously at Apacor and very important to us. And this cassette is actually nearly half the plastic usage by weight compared to other leading cassettes of the full slide design. And if you just go into some more of the key features, as well as being a new product and a new design, Apacor is new to this industry. So this comes with brand new state-of-the-art clean room assembly. We've tried to introduce as much automation in the whole process as we feel possible. Really to try and deliver a very reproducible, high quality product, exactly as you'd expect it to be. And as I said already, we've been collaborating with Dan Baxter on this, and one of the key areas that we've really been working on and collaborating on is the collection media, which obviously sits on the glass slide inside the cassette. And we've actually introduced a novel robotic media preparation method. So it's very much an automated, clean room environment to produce identical cassettes and media every time. As I say, and that's been optimized specifically for the SporeSight AI. So for those who are familiar with the collection media, this includes things like the viscosity and the thickness and the optical transparency of the collection media. And then just to go into some more sort of practical features of the product. So our product is made of polypropylene construction, meaning it's very robust and tough. So the glass inside is very well protected, but equally it's not a fragile product. So if this product was dropped, like I say, the glass inside was be fully safe and not damaged, but equally the cassette itself, it's not brittle and it also won't damage. And again, just some of the practicalities. This product is leaving Apacor with a 12-month use by date. So that's dictated by the collection media on the slide. And as I said before, this is something we've been working with Daniel Baxter on, and it's something we're still working on. And we actually hope to increase that use by date beyond 12 months, hopefully 18 or even 24 months. But we'll update on that in due course. And I said a moment ago that we've significantly reduced the plastic usage and the total volume of the cassette in terms of its dimensions, but we still managed to maintain, a good-sized note section. So you can just see there on the image on the right, the top line of the label that wraps around the cassette is actually a full 3-inch area for notes, for note taking as note section. Fully writable with ballpoint pen or a marker, a Sharpie marker type pen. But indeed, if you need even more space, there's plenty of flat areas on the cassette itself. So if you need more space and you need to write, you can write directly onto the cassette as well. So there's plenty of note-taking space. So now if we just take a closer look inside the cassette. So on the right here, we've got a schematic diagram, a cross-section through the cassette, showing the cassette in use with airflow and particulate collection taking place. So first of all, you can see that the caps, so the top part, you can see that the top cap, the inlet cap is open. And then the blue line indicates where the airflow as it travels through the cassette, passing around the glass, and indeed the airflow being drawn in by the pump that you're using it on. And then these small black dots, they represent the airborne particulates, which you can see they come through this optimized slit design that we've been working with Dan Baxter on. It's based off a Venturi inlet design, so the particles are drawn through, accelerated towards the glass side and this collection media that we've been optimizing. And we feel that means that we get just the optimal collection of all the different airborne particles that may be of interest. From the smaller end of the scale right through to the larger end of the scale, we feel that we collect the best representation of particulates, during that test. And so if we just take a look at the product and just look at it in a bit more detail. So here's an AirTrap XL in its sort of broken down format or before assembly. So on the left, you can see the top part. So again, we've got the inlet cap in its open state. You can see the Venturi inlet or the slit inlet on the top part on the left. And then if we look on the right, we can see the bottom part of the cassette with the outlet cap open. And you can see on the bottom part the area where the full 3-inch by 1-inch microscope slide would sit on the cassette. And then in between these two pieces is the glass slide. As I say, it's the traditional 3-inch by 1-inch microscope slide. And in the center of that slide, between those two parallel black lines, is where we have our optimized collection media. So that collection media is actually it's a Trasten gel, but again, like I said before, which we believe has been optimized, for the Sporesight pump, but with Dan Baxter for superior particle collection for most mold inspector, mold collection, sample collection needs. And although it's been developed, as you've heard today, in partnership with Sporesight, this cassette, as Dylan said, it's available not just from Sporesight but from elsewhere too, and it's also fully compatible with all the major pumps currently on the market. So here we've got a photo or some photos of a selection of different pumps with the cassette in its in-use state. So in the middle, we've got the Sporesight pump, which many of you will have seen before. And then but to the left and right, we've got a selection of different currently available, both the portable battery-powered style pumps, but also some of the more traditional quarter-inch tubing, sort of bigger pumps. And the AirTrap XL design has been fully designed. Excuse me. It's been designed to be fully compatible, to have a good fit with all of these pumps. And just to confirm the how of that, so the image here on the screen is we're looking at the underside of the cassette, again with the hinged cap in its open position. And you can see at the center of the this part of the cassette, you can see sort of three circular connections or fittings. So at the center there, that smallest circle, we have a quarter-inch push-fit tubing connector. For anyone who uses quarter-inch vinyl tubing to connect to their pump, that will connect there. And then the sort of second ring or circle, that's a half-inch tapered push-fit. So that's actually how the Sporesight pump connects to this cassette. And then around that, we have the much larger, also a tapered push-fit connection. That's for some of the other pumps that we've just seen on the screen. It is a tapered fit, approximately. It's a 1.5 inch diameter, or specifically 1/7/16 inch circular connection to be compatible with all of the pumps that we just saw on the previous slide. And so just to take a closer look at the Sporesight pump. So here you see the AirTrap XL in its in-use position. Dylan's going to give a product demo in a moment. But you can see, first of all, hopefully at Apacor, we think it's just a nice looking part. It looks good. It's been designed specifically to be used with the Sporesight pump. But you can see both the inlet and the outlet cap in the open position. So the cassette's ready to be used. And hopefully you can imagine with this, this sort of hinged cap approach, as you go to place the cassette onto your pump, you open the bottom inlet as you put it on. Like I say, it's almost a one-handed operation, and you don't need to open the top the top inlet cap until you're literally about to press go on your sample collection. And then conversely, at the end of your sample collection, you just close the top cap before you've even taken the cassette off the pump. And as you pull the cassette off the pump, you just close the bottom cap. And we just feel by having these two integrated hinged caps, we're just really minimizing any time where the cassette is open or exposed to any other airborne particulates. And as I said at the beginning, there's no more removing a cap or removing a sticker and placing it down, placing it on the side of the pump, for example, or getting mixed up. And indeed, once you finish taking your sample, you'd like to say just close the caps. And if you're using this in conjunction with Sporesight, you close the cap and you send the used cassette back to Sporesight for analysis. And again, just no risk of caps being lost in transit, etc. And the caps click on, so there's absolutely no danger of the caps coming off in transit either. And so just to confirm from Apacor, the AirTrap XL is being sold in a 24 pack. So here's the box. So it's a conventional simple cardboard box on the left, and they're arranged inside there as 2 layers of 12, as you can see in the image on the right. But as well as the cassette, we've also brought with it an adapter. So this is specifically an adapter for both calibration, but also for in-wall sampling, if that's something that you do. So as you can see from the photo on the right, you've got the cassette, you've then got the adapter part, which is attached to 8-inch length of quarter-inch vinyl tubing. And that's capped off with a simple dust cap. And we also offer these in a pack of 10 for those people who need it. And as I say, this can be used for both calibration or in-wall sampling. So I think Dylan's alluded to already, and I'm sure he'll mention again, these cassettes are already available on the Sporesight website. Indeed, this is a screenshot taken from the Sporesight website, and you can see that the AirTrap XLs are already available, but I will leave the sales and commercial side of things to Dylan and the Sporesight team. But whilst I have the floor, I just wanted to mention that the AirTrap XL, it's one product of a range of environmental monitoring products that Apacor are bringing to market. So AirTrap XL is the first product, but then we have we have the products that are listed and shown images of on the slide now. So if I just quickly go through these, so we have an AirTrap flow meter. It's this black or dark grey device. This is a flow meter for calibration of your pump and cassette. But what's unique and different about this flow meter is it's a digital electronic flow meter. It's very accurate and very sensitive. It displays the airflow in litres per minute to 1 decimal place. So it displays the flow rate during your calibration in both a numeric form, but also has a simple to use heat map style scale beneath that. And this is for just very quick and easy calibration. The device, it's USB-C chargeable battery powered product. It has Bluetooth connectivity. It's a very neat, relatively small design. It fits in one hand, so you can hold it whilst doing the calibration. Very easy to use, and it just simply connects onto the AirTrap or most of the other cassettes that are currently on the market. And yeah, so that will be coming soon. And with the Bluetooth connectivity, depending on what technology you connect it to, you can also collect additional information that you wouldn't normally get. For example, you can get the metadata in terms of the date, time, location, and that can all be downloaded if you need it for any sort of site visit report. So as well as the flow meter, we also will be offering a smaller cassette. So for those people who prefer the slightly smaller, sort of more circular rounded style cassette, we are bringing one of those to market too. So we call that the AirTrap Mini, and you can see a picture of one of those there on the right. So as I say, it's much more in the style of the smaller circular cassette, but the AirTrap Mini also has many of the key features of the AirTrap XL. Most notably, it has the same top and bottom hinged caps. So again, none of those issues with stickers or removable caps. But again, it has the same benefits in terms of reduced plastic usage, lightweight, very robust. But again, it's been designed and optimized in terms of the collection media gel inside. Again, all in partnership with Daniel Baxter and his team at EAA in his labs in Michigan and San Diego. AirTrap Mini actually then also comes with its own tool. So this is actually more for the analyst rather than the sample collection. And that's because the AirTrap Mini really can only be opened via the use of this tool, which is shown on the bottom. Again, that's just to prevent misuse or misopening, etc. So once this cassette arrives back at the lab, they use that opening tool, which is shown at the bottom of the slide. That's used to firstly open the cassette and open it the right way up, because the media would be face down. And then to the right of that tool is a sort of a jig, and that can be used for prepping. This has a much smaller piece of glass inside this cassette, and if you want to prep that onto a full slide ready for imaging, that can all be done on this AirTrap Mini tool. And then finally, the fourth product that we will be bringing to market, but not shown on the screen here, is the AirTrap mold analysis stain. So again, more for the analyst rather than for the sample collection, but this is a optimized stain for mold detection and specifically for the Sporesight AI diagnostic. And again, this is being developed in partnership with Dan Baxter and his team at EAA. And on that, that's everything, Dylan, that I was going to say about the AirTrap XL. So I'll hand back to you, Dylan, for the demonstration.
Thanks, Jonathan. I know we're at time. We're going to keep going. If you've got to drop off for any reason, don't worry. This is being recorded, and we're going to send out a link tomorrow. So I know this. We're at the time for this, but we'll probably go for another 5 or 10 minutes while we discuss a little demo and then questions and answers. So I've got here the AirTrap XL, the Sporesight pump, our rotometer, and the adapter. So one thing is, if you're going to purchase these, if you haven't purchased them already, make sure you buy one of these little adapters from us so you're able to calibrate the pump effectively. The way these adapters work is similar to the cap. They have a snap fit on the cassette. So you just set it on and you'll feel some friction and you'll push past it and it'll set just like that. And then on our pump, just like any other cassette, right, you're just go ahead and push on to the inlet here. And the friction fit will be tight. If you want that extra security, you can always use our little rubber bands here. When you use these long cassettes, I like to introduce just a half twist in. That gives it a little bit more purchase holding it down if you want that extra bit of security. You know, if if you're in a space where it might get knocked over or you just want to have extra care. Yeah, these, we've just started selling these as of last week. And like Jonathan said, these are really optimized, not just for us, but these can be used anywhere where they do sport trap analysis. So I know that there's been some labs out there that have been a part of the production of these cassettes. There are even more labs out there that are aware of these cassettes, just as they've been brought to market, interest to carry them or process them. There's really nothing special that these cassettes that a lab would need. So like I said, we process them here at our lab at Sporesight, but you should be able to send them in anywhere you'd like. Otherwise, is the AirTrap XL only for indoor samples? I'm going to transition to the questions and answers here, but is the AirTrap XL only for indoor air samples? No, these are for indoor, outdoor, the same as you would use any other sport trap cassette, sampling cassette. You can use these. So indoor, outdoor, the principles of when and where and how to sample are the same with these as any of the existing cassettes on the market. 15 liters per minute, 5-minute samples probably are preferred in some instances, 10 minutes if it's an extremely clean area, those sorts of things. We've got another question. Has this testing method been used in court cases? I work on a lot of legal and medical referral cases. So this product's brand new. It's been on the market for a little over a week and a half. So I'm not aware of anything that's made it through the legal system that fast with these cassettes. It's not so much the sampling cassette as the laboratory's SOP and the method that they follow that's more important. These cassettes aren't reinventing the wheel. These are optimizing already existing technologies and making them, there really hasn't been much movement in the testing market as far as sampling cassettes go in quite some time. So we are making a big jump, big iteration on top of what has already been done. So sport trap cassettes, sampling, particulate sampling using these cassettes, these style cassettes have been established for over 30 years now. So yeah, it's what's going to hold up in the court is more your sampling process in the laboratory's SOP. You know, you're not making these in your backyard. That's the thing that they're going to be looking for, that you're using a professional cassette that's not expired, and all those other steps are proper. Can I use the cassette at flow rates other than 15 liters per minute? I'll answer this a little bit, and if Jonathan wants to chime in, I'll let him as well. So Jonathan mentioned these are optimized at 15 liters per minute. You could use it at more, you could use it at less, but the combination of the aerodynamic principles of this inlet and the adhesive media have been tuned, so to speak, to be most optimized at 15 liters per minute. So when you're using inertial impaction devices like you have these, and what inertial impaction means is essentially the inertia, or the force that those particles have as they come in through this sampling inlet. If those particles have too much inertia, they're going to hit the gel and actually bounce off and not get captured. So if you're sampling at a too high flow rate, or particles that are have too much mass, they'll bounce off and not get captured. And then the opposite goes for particles that are very, very small, or if you're sampling at a flow rate that's too low. If those particulate have too little inertia, it actually won't even make it to the gel pad. It'll just get caught in the air around it. So you can use it at less, you can use it at more, but you're going to get, for at least the analysis that we do here at Sporesight, where we're looking at mold spores, airborne particulate in a similar aerodynamic range as mold spores. You know, we're talking 2 to 40 microns or so. You're going to be best bet at 15. Now, if you're sampling for wildfire particulate or other things, there may be a different flow rate you might want to use, and you'll want to consult the lab and the method for those other types of tests. But for what we do here at Sporesight, 15 liters per minute is optimum.
Yeah, fully agreed, Dylan. Yeah, optimized for 15 liters per minute, 5 minutes. But yeah, if you have a particular need to look at a lower flow rate or a higher flow rate, then absolutely you can do that.
Yeah. And we've got another question of, how does this compare to other sampling cassettes? What's the difference between this one and the Mini? So as Jonathan mentioned, we're using a different type of plastic here, recyclable plastic, where most of the other cassettes are not using a plastic that's easily recyclable. We're using a robotically applied sampling media that's been optimized for this process. The kind of less plastic, a recyclable plastic, and finely tuned capture efficiencies, or the differences. The difference between this and the Mini, it's got the same gel, it's got the same inlet and outlet, the same covers. The difference is the form factor primarily, where the Mini is, I'm sure you've seen other cassettes on the market where it's circular and smaller, where these have the whole slide on them. And it's just a different form factor. Behind the scenes at the laboratory, having a full slide cassette like this makes prep easier. There's less moving parts, whereas the glass in the Minis are a thinner glass. This is a thicker full slide that can just be prepped and cover slipped. It's one step, where the Minis have an intermediary prep step where you have to remove the sampling slide and mount it onto a microscope slide. Jonathan, are there any other differences you'd like to point out?
And so that's indeed why we've brought forward the the mini opening and slide prep tool. So it's arranged in just such a way that you can, because the gel would be face down, it's open, so you take the bottom off first, you lift the bottom up, which then allows you to lift out the much smaller piece of glass with the gel and your sample on it, and you just transfer that across to a microscope slide where you presumably would stain it and prep it ready for imaging. Yeah, so it's just a slightly different process for the analysis stage.
Yeah, we've got another question here, Jonathan, asking if there are any validation studies supporting the product. Maybe you can just give a little word on that.
Yeah, so they are in process as we speak. As I've said, we're working with Dan Baxter and the EAA lab and his team. So yeah, those studies have started, they're happening, and the results will be ready for publication soon. And obviously we'll publicize that in sort of all the normal channels when those studies are available. But yes, they are happening as we speak.
Great. We've got a question that can this be used for mycotoxins as well as spores? Are these just for non-viable sampling? I can take that one. So these would just be looking at the fungal structure, so spores, hyphae, candidiaphores, if those are present in the air, as well as non-biological particulate that are in the air. For mycotoxin sampling, you're not collecting it in a method like this. So mycotoxins are a chemical compound that you don't identify those under a microscope. They're identified using a number of different chemical analyses. So for mycotoxin testing specifically, you would have to do a specific mycotoxin test. And depending on the lab you interact with, there's different ways to do it. There's air samples, there's wipe samples, there's other sorts of ways to do it. But that's a chemical analysis, where these sampling cassettes are for microscopic analysis. And yes, these are just for non-viable sampling. There is an adhesive media in here. It is not a nutritional media. It doesn't grow. These don't get cultured. This is strictly for non-viable air sampling for, like I said, here at Sporesight, we focus on mold and other particulate, but you could capture other things as well. Yeah, they're non-viable media on these cassettes. And then I got one other question here. Kane asks, how does the media handle heat? Could you store the samples in your car, or would the heat damage the media? I got a little I could say, but maybe Jonathan's got something that you can add to that.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I mean, yeah, it's still a collection media, so anyone who's familiar with it, it's in the formulation we've used. It is triacetin base, triacetin gel. Yeah, so absolutely, it is. Has viscosity, so it does have some flow. We feel that we've optimized it so that it's under normal conditions, it delivers a flat sample ready for imaging. But yeah, if you were to heat it excessively, then yes, you would alter the viscosity, and you can get changes. So yeah, you want to store these cassettes horizontal, and ideally you wouldn't put them in extreme temperature conditions, but the the sample is absolutely fine to use in the normal sorts of temperature ranges. Sorry, I don't do Fahrenheit, so I was going to say 0 or just 5 degrees to 30 degrees, sort of a normal European temperature would be absolutely fine.
Yeah, so that's in Fahrenheit. That's anywhere from about freezing, about 32 degrees Fahrenheit to about 86 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Other cassettes that use a similar triacetin media have a similar use range. And Jonathan was specifically what I was going to mention is storage of them. Sometimes, right, you're driving from one job site to the next. You're not stopping back at the office to pick up cassettes. So sometimes they'll sit in your car, and if you live in Phoenix in the summer, it might get very hot. But storing them flat is crucial. So if there is any change to viscosity. It's relatively mitigated, and it's not on its side where it may pool or run in one direction. Anecdotally, I've left triacetin gel in a hot car in the summer on its side, and more or less, I hadn't, in my anecdotal experience, hadn't seen any adverse effects that were too bad. You do kind of see that the pad will get less flat, but the lab, we can usually still analyze it just fine if that does happen. But be mindful of it. Don't keep it in your car and let them freeze, or keep them in your car and let them get extremely hot. And then before you sample, you want to bring them back to an equilibrium at the sampling, in the sampling space. So if it's really cold or really hot, you want to bring them into where you're going to be sampling and let them sit and get to the ambient temperature before you sample. So that goes with these cassettes or any cassettes in general. That's good practice. So we're going to wrap things up here. If there are further questions, and I think there are a couple we didn't get to, Ashley, who's been moderating our chat space, will get them to me or Jonathan or even the sales team if there's questions unrelated to the presentation here, and we'll get the answers out to you over the next day or two. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Jonathan, for coming and presenting about these new cassettes. Again, you can buy these on our website right now. We have some introductory pricing going. That'll probably be up for in the next month or so, and then we'll start to settle into the standard pricing. So check them out if you're interested in them. If you're never used Foresight before, and these cassettes brought you to this webinar, welcome. If you have any questions about our lab or anything like that, you can reach out. We have contact form on our website, or you can contact our sales team directly at sales@foresight.com. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks, Jonathan, and we'll see you next month with our next monthly webinar. So have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.